Rama asked, how does the omnipresent consciousness identify itself with the body? How does consciousness identify itself with rocks and wood? This is what consciousness does. It identifies with things. Consciousness or awareness is always aware of something, and in that awareness is the identification. This is a very rich and potent question that Rama has asked. It's related to statements that we sometimes come across to the effect that even blades of grass can become enlightened, or that there's no difference between the Buddha and a blade of grass, or more specifically, there's no difference between the Buddha and a bundle of flax. Flax is plant fibre which is used to make cloth. It's how consciousness dresses itself up. This is what consciousness does. It dresses itself up. But let's see what Vasistha says. Vasistha replied, even as the embodied being identifies itself with the hand, so the infinite consciousness identifies itself with the body. I suppose as an embodied being, I've got a very limited area of power. I can move my hand and feet and maybe some other body parts, but that's it. That's it for me as an embodied being. That's the extent of my immediate field of influence. That's what I can identify with. I can identify with what I can do, with what I can move, whether it's my hand or some other appendage. But it's the infinite consciousness, it's consciousness which is identifying with the body. It's consciousness which is doing this. In the same way as the body identifies itself with the nails and the hair, the omnipresent self identifies itself with rocks and wood, etc. That's the curious thing about the body, isn't it? It's sentient and insentient. It's getting on with things. This body, which I say is my body, is getting on with digestion, with blood flow, with breathing, with nerve activity, electrical activity, with growth, with waste elimination and all the rest of it. It's a extraordinary factory which has a life of its own, But it's made up of inert materials, mainly water and a few other elements. So this is what we identify as the body, or this is what the body can be identified with, sentient and insentient aspects. Just as it is pure consciousness alone that becomes rocks and wood in a dream, these notions arose in the infinite consciousness right in the beginning of creation. I find the reference to the dream to be the most helpful. We have this extraordinary variety of diversity appearing to us in the dream. Mountains, rocks, earth, people, space. Space is created in dreams. But it's all of the nature of dream. It's all of the nature of consciousness. We've got this reference here right in the beginning of creation. We often get this reference in the Yoga Vasistha, which I think is a traditional yogic understanding. It seems to imply there was a time way back when it all started, when the first dream started. But that's just a notion. The beginning of creation is happening right here, right now, from moment to moment. There is no past. I suppose you might ask the question, well, why do we have these particular images of rocks, of clouds, of earth, of people? Science, of course, will have its own explanation in terms of evolution, but we're going beyond that. We're looking at it in terms of pure consciousness. Why should I appear to have a body? Even in a dream, I have a body. Do I need to have a body in a dream? The body in the dream doesn't seem to be subject to quite the same physical laws as my waking body. This is the basis of the distinction we might make between waking and dreaming, which we've been told on previous occasions are not different. This is the variety of consciousness. Consciousness can take on any form whatsoever, or have no form. Consciousness can be manifest or unmanifest. So consciousness could have any form whatsoever. It just so happens that this particular consciousness, which is caught up with the notions of me, who appears here as Guru Gillis, is talking to another aspect of consciousness, which has also got caught up in notions of being an individual with 2 arms and 2 legs possibly, and who considers him or herself bound by certain physical laws. This just happens to be one mode of consciousness that is going on right now. Just as in the individual's body there are sentient and insentient parts, even so in the cosmic body of the infinite consciousness there are apparently sentient and insentient objects, whereas in truth there are no such forms. This is all part of the discriminating cognitive process that goes on. They divide things into sentient and insentient, but it's all consciousness. When all this is clearly seen, they cease to appear, just as a dream vanishes the moment the dreamer awakes. All this is pure consciousness. There is neither a seer nor an object of perception. We don't normally wake up from the dream when we know it's a dream. We can have what's called a lucid dream, and the appearance doesn't cease. What ceases is our identification with it, our belief in it. That's what ceases.